Spotify with Stefs, artist, entrepreneur. I like how you just have dream. I'd say dream beard, but welcome by the show.
Awesome. I'm so excited, man, and I'm pumped and thanks for having me.
Dude, thanks for stopping by. We got to get this beard like a full shot. There's a braid. Is this
Yeah.
real? Is there extensions in the beard?
I wish. I've thought about it. No, yeah, I've had it for about 12 years. I trim it now. It took me probably 8 years to grow it, but once it gets past the waistline, it gets a little squirrely, so I keep it trimmed up.
When did you start really growing it or wanting to, I don't know, kind of incorporate the name with the beard and products with the beard?
Yeah, so like I started growing my beard a long time ago. This was like pre-Instagram, so it had to be like, I don't know, what was that like 12, 14 years ago. And I liked it so much, I created, one of the first products called a beard oil, and we ended up selling all over the world. And I think that kind of mix of that happening while I was growing my beard kind of solidified that I was probably going to grow my beard forever because I think it started out as one of those like I'm going to grow my beard for a year, and then it kind of just kept going, and no pun intended, just grew on me. And yeah, I've been loving it ever since. So yeah, it's
Now you're
definitely
like in a marketing contract with your beard. You've got the beard oil and,
exactly.
what's the name of the beard oil?
So I actually don't have it anymore. I had it for maybe about 8 years, but we closed it a little after COVID for a lot of reasons. Mainly, I wanted to pursue a bunch of other things, but it was called Dream Beard. That's kind of where like the whole idea, and it was kind of this whole encompassing my identity and like what I was creating and crafting as some kind of crazy wizard out there in the woods.
Yeah. And then so tell us about Soapbox and how you started creating that and what's this venture that you're in now?
Yeah, so currently, like probably over the last 5 years, I got into production after the beard stuff, and just really enjoyed it. I love cinematography, things like that, and ended up doing that for a long time. And then some friends of mine kind of had this wild idea about holograms, and at first it was just this idea, and I watched it kind of unfold as like something much grander and crazier that was actually something we were capable of possibly pulling off. And so we kind of all merged together, and the building I have that we're in now, we just kind of revamped it for all hologram purposes, and we started Sobox. And it's got a bunch of awesome guys. Kevin and Ryan run the show and do a killer job. I'm more of like the creative mind, and and do that kind of stuff, and less of the structure. If you can't tell, I got like tattoo. I got Jesus on my head, man. You can't take me serious. So
I
but
like it.
but yeah, and so yeah, I actually I could tilt the camera. It could be cool for the viewers real quick
What
to
is
see.
this?
We're in
Mhm.
the studio, but if you see, I'll actually bring you out here real quick because it's worth it. I promise it's worth it.
Yeah, no, take
But
us on an adventure.
so basically right next to me is the system. And so it's
Wow.
48 cameras, and the only other people that have this level of technology is the military, and we're the only people that have it connected to a sound stage. So
That's
yeah,
so
so it's
cool.
basically it creates full 3D holograms. And so we just had like right now we're working on like Atlanta Legends. So we just had like T-Pain, Crime Mob, Franchise Boys. We're talking to like Yin Yang Twins and like all these, kind of like greats from back in the day. And so we're also like Yellow Wolf's coming in next week. We've got all kinds of different people coming in from all walks. We've had like some metal people because I'm friends with a lot of metal people. So we've had like Memphis Mayfire, Norma Jean. We've been talking to like Wage War and possibly Spirit Box and other people like that. And we just worked out a
That's
deal
so sick.
with Olive Warner. And so yeah, we're just cranking it out. We really want to kind of in the end. We have an app right now on the goggles, so the MetaQuest or the Apple Vision Pro, and we just want to kind of end up becoming more so like MTV back when it was cool of the metaverse, where like basically you can come in and you can experience these artists in your living room, full 3D life size holograms, performing, whether it's like tiny desks and it's stripped down, which we love to do the most here because we feel like it compels you when you're watching it in your living room. And, and so yeah, so that's kind of what we're doing right now, and it's getting crazy, man. We have a whole education side, so like in LA starting in the fall, little kids are going to be putting these headsets on and watching holograms of people like T-Pain teach about like how to utilize technology, especially for him, how he was using auto tune way before anybody. And so it's super cool stuff, and I love it. My life has changed so much over the years, and this is just something I feel super honored to be a part of.
Well, it's really exciting, and that studio looks phenomenal. I know my sons are on MetaQuest, and I'll
Hmm.
try on their headsets sometimes, and I'm like, "What's going on?" I was on a roller coaster, and I was feeling a little
Yeah,
off, but I did see the Foo Fighters live, and
yeah,
it felt like I was in the audience. Like, it was
yeah,
crazy. Can I make a hologram boyfriend, though, with your technology? Is
yeah,
that
yeah.
something that I'm capable of doing? So,
Let's
I
get
even
it.
saw, like, Teddy Swims follows you. Are you helping out with other people's music videos eventually, or is that the beard or more the music side?
So yeah, Teddy's a good friend of mine that I met through some friends. He has been to our studio, and we actually have like been talking to Warner and his team. He's looking to come out more in the fall. Like right now, the problem is it's like, you know, being honest, like a lot of people are like, man, why don't you have bigger people? And I'm like, man, if you only knew what it takes to get these big people in, you know, it's like the thing with like Teddy is obviously like he loves it, loves the technology, was moved almost to tears, you know, and we had such a great time with him, and his team loves it. Warner loves it, but then it comes down to the reality that the dude is literally selling out arena tours all over the world, and he just doesn't
Yeah.
have the time. And so that's kind of where we're at with a lot of these artists is like Teddy's in, you know, and he's going to come in and make a hologram. It's going to be dope when it happens, but like it could be probably like the fall, like, you know, it's going to
Yeah.
be like the earliest reality of having people like that in. And so that we have a lot of people like that are kind of under contract that we haven't really talked about because we wanted to make sure they're like, you know, it actually happens and all that kind of stuff. But it's super cool because, you know, people like Teddy get it, you know, same thing with T-Pain. He's super involved in what we're doing now because when he came, he just saw that this was like the future, you know,
Yeah.
and so it's a wild experience, you know, it's almost one of those things where like I'd love to eventually show you like, you know, whenever ever in your part of town, like I'll bring the goggles or like you said, your son have them. So like you should definitely download the app because it's hard to like explain it until you've experienced like the immersion of it and especially the live tracked stuff because we have stuff that's kind of like music video esque where it's like to tape and they're just like mouthing it and it's still fun and it's compelling, but the ones where we've actually recorded live, it's crazy. You know, like we had Buddy Guy. He's like, you know, I think like 8-time Grammy, you know, like blues artist, wrote Mustang Sally and all these like really big songs. And when you see him come in and he talks about how he convinced, you know, Jimmy Page and Eric Clapton to buy a Stratocaster guitar because they didn't believe he could play the blues on it, you know, and he's sitting there doing all these
Wow.
interviews as like a hologram. And it's crazy because like it's gonna live forever now. Like we've been talking
Yeah.
to the we've been talking to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame about like the potential of putting these holograms in there, you know, forever, you know. And so I
Yeah.
think it's some pretty compelling, really fun stuff.
It's a great way to make music live on forever and to be able to feel like you can connect with the artists even if they do pass away one day. I know I'm kind of in a similar boat as you. I'll get a lot of artists that say we want to come by the podcast, but right now summer
Hmm.
touring and schedule is crazy. And so once things slow down, kind of fall and winter, they're ready to come on. Or I'll even take a tour bus like 10-minute check-in if that's what they want to do. But
Hmm.
I read you're into music too. And
Oh
I
yeah.
had Memphis Mayfire on calling the radio station maybe like 15 years ago. So we talked to them
Wow.
one morning and Norma Jean. We interviewed them a couple times at festivals. How did you become friends with them or like get into music?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question. It's kind of crazy. I think that like the beard stuff got me connected. Like I'm really good friends with Jim Root from Slipknot, and like that was all because of beard stuff. Like people just loved the like weird beard culture that I had kind of like created and crafted, and so I started. It was really funny because I think that I utilized, and I promise I'll get into like how I got into music, but like I think that I was like utilizing influencers way before it was a thing, you know, because I started my Instagram like a
Oh,
long time ago and I could identify like, hey, I have this product. If I put this in the hands of someone who's influential, people are going to see it. And so I really identified bands as a part of my culture very early on. So that got me backstage and hanging out in buses with all these different bands over the years, all over the world. And I just became really good friends with them. And so fast forward to like I did music, like, in church way back in the day, you
that's
know,
what's up.
like
You were a pastor for 10 years? I'm like, okay, we got
yeah,
to get
which
into
is
that too.
yeah, yeah, and so then I stopped for, like, 10 years, and, you know, or, like, 8 years where I just didn't do anything to do with music, and I think a lot of it had to do with because a lot of that was such a part of my past that, like, I didn't feel like it was, like, ever gonna be a part of my future, And then like, you know, being around all these people, especially like Maddie Mullins being such a dear friend of mine that we've done so much together. And he just inspires me so much that like I just felt almost compelled to like create again in that form. And so I started just kind of messing around. Obviously, I'm in the studio. The camera's on a 5088 Neve right now, and like, and it was hard not to like kind of get back into music. And so I, especially when we started Soapbox, because it was just like so music esque and all this gears here. And so I got inspired and started just kind of messing around. And I met some friends who could kind of produce, which was able to like give me the opportunity to be a front man, which is like, you know, without producers and without the band, you know, it's hard to make anything real in reality. And so that was kind of my first opportunity. And I made kind of like a demo track and was sending it to some of my friends, you know, like Cody from Wage War and Maddie and all these different people. And I was just like kind of almost like jokingly like, what do you think? And everybody was like, man, this is super sick, dude. You should just like keep trying it, you know? And then kind of
Yeah.
like, and then, you know, 6 months went by and I cut my first song with called Rage that's out with Cameron Mazel, which is also who produces like all of Memphis Mayfire. He was like one of the gods of producers back in the day. You know, he goes by Chango and like produces so many people. And so I had the honor of working with him, and it kind of like took my production and everything to like this other level. It was like, hey, maybe I could do this for real. And then that's kind of where I've been over the last probably 6 months, is like I just kind of released, you know, and have been having a lot of fun. I'm really, really excited about the new music I'm doing. It's Cam's producing as well as my friend Chris Link from Attila. He's producing most of my stuff now and helping me write. And so yeah, the new stuff is banging hard, man, and I can't wait to get it out.
I'm stoked. Is Dream Electric out yet, or did I just get it sent to me a little early?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you got a Electric Graveyard.
Electric.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Electric Graveyard. Yeah, so that's one I just got. That's a demo. I wanted to kind of like treat you with it. That's one of my favorites, and I am so stoked. We're
that
probably
was
like
sick. It had like a
probably about
Rob Zombie kind of Power Man 5000-esque, you know? Like, I was playing it a
yeah,
lot this morning, and I was like, I could
yeah.
vibe with that.
Yeah, that's kind
That's
of what we were
tight.
like messing with, you know. Like I've done like, you know, I've done one that kind of has like this weird like issues vibe where it's like, you know, R&B meets metal. I've done one that's kind of like butt rock. I've done one that's like, you know, just deathcore. And the you know, obviously you heard the Rob Zombie one that people haven't heard yet. And I've got a few more. I'm kind of just honestly developing a sound, and I'm also at this place in my life where I'm like, why do I have to have a sound? Like
Yeah.
is that something that fans can adapt to, you know, the reality of like we live in a time now where Post Malone's playing country, you know, and it's like if you would have said that 8 years ago people probably would have laughed. But like, you know, I think we're seeing a time where like people move and they're malleable in their art. And so like for me, like I enjoy so much, you know. Obviously I grew up on butt rock, so obviously I wanted to try a song, you know, like I wanted to give it a go, and it was super fun. But like, is that who I am? Like, probably not. You know, like, is this Rob Zombie sound who I am? Like, maybe. I don't know, man. Like, I was fucking with it, but like, is that going to be the way I sound like going forward? Who knows? But like, I'm just having a lot of fun. I mean, it's literally on my knuckles, have fun.
That's funny. That's
so,
funny. I just
yeah,
have emojis because I got bored and was like, "I'll get
let's
emojis."
go. I love
Um,
it.
so I love you. Everyone evolves, everyone changes. You know, I would say people think I'm a metal chick, but I love all kinds of music across the board. And especially this comeback right now of you say butt rock, I'm saying divorced dad rock, you know, like I'm
I
like
love that.
refinding my
I
Nickelback
love
and
that.
you
Oh
know,
yeah.
we had Drowning Pool on and Alien Ant Farm, and I'm like
Awesome.
rediscovering all of this music that I was listening to in high school that I love. Like it's so good and it's nostalgic too. Do you have a band that you would love to tour with or work with that you haven't yet?
Mm. Man, that's difficult, you know, because again, talking about developing a sound, I think where I'm headed, it kind of like could wedge me into like only being able to like obviously play and tour with certain type of bands. But I think like trying to stay wide range, man, like everything from like it would obviously be awesome to tour with like my friends, you know, like people like Memphis Mayfire and stuff like that, all the way to like, man, like doing divorced dad rock, like you said,
Yeah.
with a band like Creed that I grew up with. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like those are the levels of where I believe I can go. And I think that like manifesting is all about like belief and action and foresight. And so it's like I've seen my life manifest so many cool things before. So I have this like this ultra love of belief in myself and that like those kind of things are reachable, you know, that we just
Yeah.
talked about.
We're limitless. And I love, well, you're talking about manifesting. I'm a just spiritual person. I'm like a
Mhm.
positive. I love positive affirmations. So when I read that you were a pastor for 10 years, how did that fall in your lap? And how much have you kind of veered away from that or still have some of that in your life?
Yeah, it's a great question. I feel like I grew up kind of like the kid that was like getting into bad stuff and then like inevitably got into trouble and was facing a lot of big things and kind of like turned to church, which it really was something that like felt like I needed and was good, and it turned me into a certain type of person that allowed me to choose love over anger and things like that. And then over time, you know, I got older and I started Dream Beard and I just got around other people thinking differently, and you get out of your confirmation bubble and you start to like see the world differently. And I think that it kind of caused me to start to slowly kind of walk away from what the things that I had perceived to be real, and I began to see life broader in the sense. And I ended up studying a lot of things in that time, like Buddhism and all the isms, and kind of just came out of it after like you know this crazy psychedelic types of experiences that I had. Kind of ended up with my own way of viewing this reality, and that we're kind of just maybe molecules that have momentarily come together to manifest a human body, and maybe we're flying 67,000 miles around the sun floating on tectonic plates of lava, but like
Yeah.
I'm not sure what is truth anymore. But what I have developed is embracing the unknown and understanding that for once maybe I don't know, and I'm okay with that, with not knowing. But I still seem to be very much a spiritual person. You know, yoga, meditation, things like that are still very part of my life, but I'm definitely probably not in like the religious category anymore.
I feel like I'm on the same page. Like I grew up in a religious household. I kind of veered off in Hollywood and then I actually got back on track to just slow down and I needed it, I think, to redirect me. And now I've stepped away again about the last 7 years and I feel I have a good medium of
Yeah,
I can talk to God or my form of it when I want, but I really don't practice and I don't have to go into a building to show everyone that I believe in something. But and
sure.
then I listen to death metal and people get confused. They're like, "What?" I'm like, "It's an artist. It to me it's a form of art and expression. I'm not taking
Exactly.
everything seriously." And you'd be shocked by how many hardcore death metal people are like sober and into Jesus, like on the DL.
Oh
So,
my gosh, man. I was the
yeah.
first friends I ever became friends with in that scene was For Today. And like obviously, you know, they were a huge Christian metal band. And like and that's the thing that like I think going back to religion, I'll finally say is that like I have a ton of friends that are Christian, that are Buddhists, that are atheists, that are, you know, Satanists, that are gurus. And I truly just love people and love where they're at and want to see them happy and want to see them fulfilled. And so I'm the type of person that is like fully for whatever people are doing and believing in what makes them happy.
Yeah, cheerleader. I like it. So, what's a goal of yours next? What do you want to happen with the company or your personal life as well?
Yeah, I mean, you know, as far as like being a creator and an artist, like my music right now, I'm like head first into it. I think that it's one of those things where again, it's like, why am I doing this? Like, there's so many great bands out there. Like, why me and why should I?
No, why
And
not? Do it.
Ex
Do it. That's what I'm
exactly,
like. Fuck it.
exactly. You know, like, you know, Ram Dass and, what's his friend? I forget, but on his deathbed, he was this great psychedelic, like basically philosopher, and he sat there and he kept saying, why?" And then his last words before he died was, "Why not?" And I think
Mm.
that, like, basically that's how I wanna live my life. It's like you said, why not, like, go for it? Why not bring this world some sort of sense of like my energy and what I bring to the table into a crowd. And that's something I miss so much of being a pastor was being on stage. And when I did Dreambeard, the product company, I stood on front of a massive stage in front of 20,000 people and spoke about my products, and did all these different things and spoke in churches in front of, all these different people on stages. And I was always moved by the connection of people. And I feel like that's what I miss so much and what I'm looking forward to so much in the future is touring, is getting in front of people. I think that that's my actual motivation more than anything in music, is that connection. I recently got to go out with a few different bands and just kind of do like a feature spot and things like that, and it felt so cool to be able to connect with the crowd and have those moments again. And so for the future, for me, that's definitely where I'd like to be, like as far as my creativity goes. And as far as soapbox and like business, obviously we want to see this app in everyone's home. We're coming out with a phone app as well, just to broaden the net and to where people can, utilize the technology in different ways. And so, I'd love to see it become $1 billion company in the next few years. Like, I mean, like seriously, I know it sounds crazy. We just got a
No,
new
no, nothing sounds crazy. Trust me.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and we just got, evaluated in the hundreds of millions, and like we're super stoked, and life is like blowing up, and we feel like where this is headed, we have a lot of big people behind us and a lot of people believing in us. And so yeah, as far as the future of Soapbox, man, I feel like the sky is not even close to the limit.
Yeah, and you guys are in LA?
No, we're in Atlanta. But
And
that
it
is
in Atlanta, okay.
crazy you said that though, because we are seriously thinking about building a studio out there. It's either going to be there or Nashville.
Oh, I know Nashville's on fire though. It really is.
I know. That's why
Is
we're having a hard time. We're like, should it be
yeah.
LA or should it
As
be
much as I'm
Nashville?
like, "Come to California, I want all the cool shit in California," it's cheaper and it's on fire and it's
Yes,
kinda cooler in Tennessee, so,
it is, man. It
I wanna
sucks.
get out there. I wanna get out, but, like,
Yeah, you should.
I don't know, I can't, but, thank you so much, Ryan, for stopping by the podcast and checking in with us, and you're gonna have to keep me updated on what's going on, and we'll tag you so all the new listeners can check you out.
Awesome. I appreciate you so much. This was so much fun.